All right. So this is what your notes look like. When we did, we're getting going, guys. When we did ours, our cross sections were perpendicular to which axis? You had pieces of paper sticking up, and which axis were they perpendicular to? They were parallel to the y-axis. They were perpendicular to the x-axis. So here's what we want to remember when we do these types of problems. Perpendicular to the x-axis means that when you're doing the integration, you're doing everything in terms of x. Perpendicular to the y-axis means that your integration is everything in terms of y. That's going to be important to remember. Okay? And just like we were doing yesterday and the day before, when we have things in terms of x, we're still going to be doing top minus bottom to figure out this time what our slice is. Yesterday, top minus bottom helped us figure out what our radius was. The day before, top minus bottom helped us figure out what our area was, right? And then for perpendicular to y, we're going to do right minus left. All right. For these first two equations, I went ahead and rewrote them in y equals mx plus b form. So I made it so that x divided by 2 I would write as 1/2 x. So it has a slope of 1/2. It had a negative in front of it, so I called it negative. And then there was a plus 1, so I said that was like my y-intercept. And then over here I had negative 1 plus x over 2, so I rewrote that as 1/2 x minus 1, so I could see what my slope and my y-intercept were. And we're going to go ahead and draw a little sketch of that. So the first one, I had a y-intercept of 1, and then it went down 1 to the right 2. And the other one started at negative 1 and went up 1 to the right 2. And it says that the base of our solid is bounded by those two lines and x equals 0, which is the y-axis. So here's the base of our shape. And we are perpendicular to the x-axis. So are we going to be integrating in terms of x or in terms of y? In terms of x. So if you look at your x values, what are the two bounds for our integration? 0 to 2. Okay. And we have to be able to figure out what our slice is. So what's our slice? This is where we're going to do top curve minus bottom curve. So which one's the top? Which one's the bottom? So the negative graph is the top. You can use either of these when you write it in. They're going to give you the same answer. So if we do top minus bottom, we're going to have negative 1/2 x plus 1 minus the bottom, which is 1/2 x minus 1. And it says that we are doing equilateral triangles. What's the formula for an equilateral triangle? So root 3 over 4 times what? S squared. So this whole thing squared. Now if you want to simplify it so you don't have to type as much in your calculator, you are more than welcome to do that. That S value is being squared. So this is kind of like saying, remember in the video I talked about cereal boxes? If you want to know the volume of a cereal box, you would find the area of that rectangular base, and then you would multiply it by the height. You guys remember that from the video? Talking about that? So to compare it with this, we're figuring out what the area of each slice is, and then we're multiplying it by how long that is, or kind of like the width of each individual slice. So the area of the slice multiplied by the width of the slice, and if we add all those up together, that's when we get the whole shape. All right, did anyone type that in? I am not going to be your calculator today. Get to typing. I should hear lots of clacking. Woohoo! All right, so this is approximately 1.155 units cubed. Okay. Now this says we're using the same base, right? Using the same base with cross sections perpendicular to the x-axis. We're setting it up the same. And this time the cross sections are squares. How does that change what we just did? Yeah, you take out the fraction in the front. The root 3 over 4 is not there anymore. So when we have a base that's a square, then our formula is just s squared. So we're just going to have the negative 1/2 x plus 1 minus 1/2 x minus 1 squared. And that's all we have. So if you want to be tricky, just get this back up here and delete that fraction in the front. Were you guys able to get that? All right. The next one, we have a new base, so I'm going to have to draw a picture for this one. It's bounded by the line y equals x plus 1. And the parabola x squared minus 1. Should we practice finding the bounds of this one by hand? Would that be good? How do we find the bounds by hand? Set them equal to each other. We want to make sure that we can see where the two equations are equal so that we know where they cross. So it would be x plus 1 equals x squared minus 1. And then what would I do? Yeah, it's got to equal 0 because that's a quadratic that I'm solving. So I'd have x squared minus x minus 2. What are the factors for that?
2 and 1.
2 and 1. We gotta be a little bit more specific. You're very close. Yeah, negative 2 and 1. So x minus 2, x plus 1. So then what are the intersections? 2 and negative 1. Okay. Now this says perpendicular to the x-axis, so what does that mean about integrating it? We're using x, which is good because we just did the x's. And then how do we figure out what the slice is? Yeah, top minus bottom, so what's the top? So x plus 1 minus squared minus 1, okay. And then what's our formula for a semicircle? Yeah, so it's 1/2 pi r squared, but we went over it in the video last night, how it's a little bit different now that we're using the slices, because a slice is the same as the diameter, not the radius. So it makes your equation a little different. So we've got 1/8 pi times the slice. Squared. What is happening out there?
I honestly don't know.
My neighbor's wife sounds like that all the time.
Really?
Can you imagine?
Damn, I feel bad.
That's nice.
I really apologize.
Yeah, it was kind of awkward.
What did you say?
I said
Yeah,
I really wanted to because I
Oh. I didn't even know that was real.
Why don't we do my names?
All right, what are you guys getting when you plug it in?
Hey, in real quick.
I am not your calculator,
I'm
sir.
dead.
I am not your calculator.
Hey,
said-
you said
hey,
1 divided by 8.
What?
I said
She's gonna smack me.
because of the way I typed it, the pi is not on the bottom.
It's not. Okay. That's I didn't actually.
Yeah, it would only be on the bottom if you put parentheses around the 8 and the pi.
Oh, yeah. Cheap pie. I hate it.
So you should have got 3.181. Hey guys, why do I want you to type this in?
So we can practice so we don't try to
Yeah, now the reason, yes,
Do you have Betty Cabrera?
no, she's not here right now, today.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I got
Um,
3.18.
Yeah, the reason I want you to type these in, are we listening, is not just because I need you to make sure that you can get the answer right, but also, do you have an unlimited amount of time to take a test in here? No. So if it takes you, if you plug it in and you haven't been confirming, are you listening? If you plug it in on test day and you have not been confirming all along that you know how to plug it in correctly, do you feel like you're going to feel very confident on test day? No. Maybe you plug it in 5 times and waste a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason I want you to plug it in to check it and not just wait for me to give you the answer. All right? Okay. Next time, or for the next one, we're going to do the same base.
Oh, no, rectangle.
But now we're doing a rectangle. So we still have the same interval.
Still 1, 2.
And it says the rectangles have a length that is 2 times the width. The width is the S value, right? So for the rectangle, we have length times width. The width is the S value. It says that the length is 2 times the width. So what should we put for length? 2S. So what is the formula that we are typing in? 2S squared. So I'm going to say 2, and then put my S.
Okay, Ms. Rice, can I pose you real quick?
Mm-hmm.
I keep getting the wrong answer. I was behind. I was still trying to type another one.
Okay. Part of it might be all these parentheses are kind of hard to type. So what you might do to make your life easier is get rid of some of these parentheses. So like x plus 1 minus x squared plus 1, that would be negative x squared plus x plus 2. Then if you get rid of all of this,
It's just 1 second.
yeah, and that will make it easier to type for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way we were typing it was definitely making a lot of parentheses there. Oh, I just got the wrong answer though. What did I? I don't know what I typed wrong.
You forgot the square.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I was like, I did something. Squared. Ta-da! Okay, 16.2 is what you should have got.
That was the previous.